Let's see. Let me get my mic on here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to DYOR Live. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media universe. So glad to be hosting another episode of DYOR Live. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The hottest show in all of the internet. Just as usual, I got my co-host Pedro Garcia in the house. Pedro, what's happening today?
What's up, my peoples? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. I apologize I was not there on Monday to give you guys the breakdown of what is about to happen in this market and forecasting and all that craziness. But
you'll make do today. You'll make do today.
I will.
Anyway, we got a good show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. All the good stuff as usual.
Bro, I gotta do my thing.
Hold on, I was leading you into that.
Oh, my bad. No. Well, wait. Let me tell them to hit the like button.
I was leading you into that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Let me be quiet.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a good show for you today. We have a whole bunch of topics to talk about. Like I said yesterday, it's a crazy week in crypto, and it turned out I was right. So I've got to get the word out about the show. Pedro, tell our viewers what they need to do right now.
Yes, if you don't mind doing me a favor, guys, real quick, please hit that like, sub, and share button to your preferred social media. And if you don't mind doing me one more favor, please hit them hearts, those little things on the wheel that make the thing light up on the actual screen, because that actually sends the current show into the algorithm, which allows them to be able to push us out and get this good old information out to the hands that need it. I purposely tried to memorize that so I can sound all smooth now. High five for myself.
I don't know if it's so smooth, but anyone, ladies and gentlemen, it is May 22nd, 2024. And look over my head right here. Bitcoin pumping at 70,000. Why is that, everybody? Pedro, why is Bitcoin pumping?
Bitcoin is pumping for two primary reasons. And this is the part that, again, we still haven't really pumped. Like if we really look at it, right? Because this is really important to understand, right? We're still in this range that I've talked about now for almost, I think when I first started airing it, it was around March. So we're still in this range here between 59,000 to 73,000 until I really see us really push hard on above 73.5 area with real volume, okay? Where we push up, come back down, we find support right here at the previous high. I'm then bullish. I'm like, dude, I am jacked to the tits. I'm ready for this thing to go down to the moon or up to the moon. Anyways, yeah. So I want to see this thing up, retrace, and push. And then I am game on. Until we see that, we're still stuck in between here. In addition to that, and this has all been pushed because of the Ethereum push, right? We've all been talking about the Ethereum, waiting for the ETF. But the problem is with the Ethereum ETF, and again, I'm always about volume. Let's talk about volume. You're almost at nauseum because it gets annoying, right? Ethereum, you would think with the news of the market saying it's about to have a real ETF, that we would see real volume come in, right? This is the month. Okay, look at the month here. We can see the volume down in here. Can you see it? No, you can't.
No, it's off the screen. Morning, Mayor of Akron.
Let me see if I can pull. I'll do this tomorrow. But I just want to say like this. It's barely anything. And we're towards the end of the month. So if it was really going to happen, we're about to see all this stuff, you would have seen the institutions really buying it. I mean, legit. And it would have been happening a month ago, right? Down at these lower levels when we saw a scene sell off. But we didn't really see a lot of volume come in comparative to, let's say, the same price point, which is around here. Okay. And here's this, if you look at this volume here, and let me if I can pull this up real quick. Volume base here at these levels, we should have been seeing easily 5 million, 6 million, right? 7 million ETH at least. Okay. And those are at the receptive 3,000, 4,000 price area. And you can see right here, we have 174,000 contracts. Yet last month, 206,000 contract. I don't want to say contracts, the wrong word to use, but actual coins being purchased. So this is why I'm sitting there going like, and if I got to see more coming in. So, and it could be, honestly, people just don't have the money because of what's going on in the economy, people losing jobs. So it's a hard take, man. But honestly, it was funny because I felt bad because Zach is like, this is the start of like the coin like movement, and we're gonna see this thing, and I'm like, bro, they're just faking everybody out. They're gonna drop this market.
They're just faking everyone out. Pedro says.
I could be wrong. I hope. Listen, the thing is I hope I'm wrong. Like, I really hope I'm wrong here, because then I want my bag. I want my bag to push. Listen, I've been accumulating. So I want to see us get from like, if we could have a 10x, dude, I'm retiring. I'm going to the Bahamas and we're doing the show, brother. Like, this is how it rolls, baby. Like, surfing in the morning.
All Ethereum needs to do is 10x.
Afternoon.
That's all that needs to happen, ladies and gentlemen. So start buying right now and support our co-host Pedro in that.
That's in a nutshell. I hope it pushes. But I'm just being real honest and telling you what I see in comparative to what's really out there. I mean, like what they're saying versus what's actually being done on the charts.
All right, well, thank you, Pedro. We're obviously going to talk the rest of the show today about the markets and what's driving it, including regulation. We will have previously on the show, we've had when Pedro was out, we had a gentleman by the name of Chris Alexander on the show.
Chris,
and we'll have him on in a minute. But before we do that, let's hit up our fan base here and say what's up, everybody. What's going on?
What up, my people?
Shireen, thanks for joining us, Shireen. I don't have the comment up. Shireen, thank you for representing the Spurgis Stag. Dragon Ball Z, the whole family.
What
of
up,
stuff.
Z's?
Why does that keep saying? Well, my keep saying log in. I don't want to log in. Don't want to log in. Don't want to log in. Don't want to log in.
Yeah, dude. I've actually had some issues when it comes to.
I'm just trying to keep my coin market cap thing above my head there. But anyway, Crypto Mike in the house. Welcome all the way from Winnipeg. Crypto Mike, thanks for joining us.
What up, Crypto?
Really appreciate it. Mike, I didn't provide you with any entertainment on the pre-show today. A couple of times over the past few weeks, I've had my mic on accidentally, and they got to hear Pedro and I BS ahead of time. And we never talk smack, but occasionally drop the F-bomb or talk about something that it's not supposed to make the air. Anyway, let's see who else is here with us today. Artemis, thank you for joining us. Artemis, however you want to pronounce it.
Artemis, yeah.
And of course, I'll shill myself here. Welcome, everyone. Please like, follow, share, comment. Just do it. For those of you watching on LinkedIn today, thank you very much for joining us. The comment system doesn't work so great with LinkedIn. They haven't gotten that right yet. So come on over to YouTube. Search DYOR Media, and you'll find us. And join the discussion. But speaking of discussion, let's get to the rest of the show here today. Big things in Washington, D.C. I'm going to bring my guest on, Chris Alexander here. Chris,
coming on.
Welcome to the show again. Glad to have you back. I think this time you're in the East Coast, not all the way in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, I can still do a surf report. But you wouldn't ever go in the harbor in Baltimore. So,
unless you don't want 3 arms, right?
Unless you don't want a container ship running into you.
Well, that's gone because I can see that out the window. And they had some deal. They're going to do like a swim for the first time in 10 years, and then it said don't swim normally, just do it under this one event. So, I'm not quite sure they hit the clean water.
Wear this hazmat suit while you're at it.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, Chris, welcome back to the show. Yesterday's show, I told everybody, I said, look, this is going to be a big week. We got a lot of stuff going on in Washington, D.C. We have stuff coming out of the SEC, Congress, all that type of stuff. And just to summarize, we've got Congress trying to override the SEC's decision-making with SAB 121. We've got Patrick McHenry's baby, FIT 21, the Financial Information Technology Act.
Yep.
And we have the potential for the SEC to also, they've laid the groundwork for people to say, hey, we might possibly approve ETFs. Patrick McHenry was on a couple of other shows talking about stuff and gave a lot of good insight from Congress's point of view. As someone that's on the ground in Washington, D.C., tell us, what the hell is going on in Washington, D.C.? There's a turnaround going on? What's going on there?
Wait. I just also want to interrupt. I know it sounds horrible, but who was right? Who was right?
Pedro was right.
Who was right about it?
Pedro, let our guest answer the question.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. CA, speak truth, my friend. Go with it.
Nothing wrong with Pedro being right. I'm a uniter, not a divider. So what's really interesting about this is, maybe not a familiar term for this audience, political football. Basically what it means is the other side is just waiting to tar and feather their opponents for taking a side on an issue.
Right.
And so what this really all stems to is last week, the Trump campaign said, we believe in crypto and we're going to take crypto donations on our website. They'll be fully compliant. So let's not go down the Senator Warren, all crypto is evil, money laundering. And they delivered. It's up. So you can now donate to the campaign. Well, that sort of thrust crypto in the limelight. Right. And why does crypto matter now? The numbers have gone up. It was like 16% a year and a half ago. Now about 1 in 5 Americans, 20%, have cryptocurrency. Well, you got some swing states. And this is kind of a weird one. I don't know if you know this. The state that has the highest crypto recognition for like being able to identify what it is Wisconsin.
Really?
And we're on the list of swing states again.
Yeah, and they're on the list of swing states. So dairies, Bitcoin, Wisconsin, I guess. So now turning against the crypto community could cost you a swing state.
Right.
And now you have a swing state, Wisconsin, which now we don't know how many people who own crypto are likely voters. Someone will pay for that. But the point is, crypto has arrived in spectacular fashion. The bottom line is simply this. You have enough people that own cryptocurrency now that it affects the decisions of the president of the United States. Yeah. So how specifically? The president had signaled that he was going to veto this bill that's up for, I think, vote in a couple of hours. The FIT 21 Act, which is going to kind of more clearly define who does what between the CFTC and the SEC. And he was going to veto it. And just an hour or two ago, the White House released a statement saying, they don't like it, but they wouldn't veto it. So
I hadn't heard that yet. That's good.
Yeah, So
alpha here, people.
Alpha on DYOR Live, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on now, preach.
So it's unbelievable. First of all, the fact that crypto is instrumental in any part of a presidential campaign, like other than the hardcore people back 10 years ago, who would have ever really expected that? So that's great. That's great for crypto. I do think it's important though to understand where we're at. All right, this is a House bill. The House looks like it's going to pass it.
Yep.
It's then going to go to the Senate and it's going to get changed. The president could veto it. Doesn't sound like he's going to veto it coming out of the House. It'll go to the Senate. Then the Senate has to vote on it. Then the president can still veto it. So this is the start. This is not the end of the process. So when this bill gets passed, I know there's going to be 1 million Gary Gensler as Gollum being defeated memes that are going to appear. And you're not there yet. So if you're making those, I mean, have at it. I guess you enjoy it. But
this is crypto.
Yeah, you're not ready for the victory lap yet.
Right.
So
a couple of weeks ago, or I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, time has flown recently. We talked a little bit about the swing states and how this 20% people came about. And what we noticed during the I guess they were talking about SAB 121 at the time, and Democrats defected, and that's what Pedro was referring to when he said he was right. He said at some point the people up for re-election have to cover themselves, and whether or not the president vetoes it or not, the fact that 21 Democrats or however many Democrats jumped ship, they can still say, "Hey, I tried, I voted for you." It kind of gave them cover for that. Is that a typical thing there in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, this is the system actually working as intended. No one talked about anyone's eyelashes. Both sides worked together.
Oh, that was so good.
Don't play.
And they solved a problem. And by the way, they normally don't. And I'm always reminded of that Mark Twain quote, "You're an idiot, sir, and a congressman, but I repeat myself." So they worked together. They found common ground. The Democrats are like, hey, FTX really embarrassed us because, we got a whole bunch of money from them. And then that can't happen
vice
again.
versa too. Let's not forget, because he gave just as much money to the Republican side as well.
Well, I think he gave more dark money to the Democrats ultimately than the Republicans, but he was on both sides because he was doing the smart thing. He was paying everyone. But regardless, it stuck to the Democrats, and they wanted this handled. And by the way, it's a good thing. You should not be able to commingle your funds and speculate with your customers' money here. There's really not good guys or bad guys, except maybe on the fringes here. So Congress worked together, came up with a solution. The Republicans had some stuff they wanted to kind of more focused on industry and innovation. The Democrats wanted to protect consumers. And, they argued a little bit, and they actually came to a resolution. Now, in terms of the cover, there's some Democrats that can't say, I love crypto, so they got to abstain, or maybe they vote, but they're like, I don't love it. And that's how it works. So, there's a bit of face saving. And the person that this was primarily for was Maxine Waters.
Right.
She needed to be able to say, I'm not thrilled with it, and not get in the way. So what I think is could affect markets and decision making is the SEC is about to get a pretty strong rebuke from the House of Representatives, and or not a rebuke. That's not accurate, but the House is about to say, we think you're going too far, and we're going to curtail some of your power. And that is huge. That also gets back to that debate, right? Bitcoin, is it a commodity? Is it a security? Is Ether a commodity or security? So it's just amazing, and I'm glad to see it.
Well, today, with the news that Biden is not going to veto this, and he's referring to SAB 121, the SEC override. Is that correct?
You got it here.
Oh, sorry, Fit 21. Fit 21 is what he's saying he's not going to.
Oh, okay. This is Patrick McHenry, who, if everyone recalls, was in the hunt to become the new Speaker of the House, and famously declined. And that's never happened in the history, I think, of anything, to say, hey, here's the top job, you can have it for free, without any political wrangling. We just need someone to do it. And he's like, no, I'm good. And people are like, what? And anyways, he's the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, which is arguably the most powerful House committee out there. And he said, no, I'm going to get some things done in this, and I'm good with that. And then, of course, a few weeks later, he said, I'm going to retire from after 10 terms in the House. I'm good. And so everyone's like, oh, now we get it, why. But it's been really interesting listening to him, because now, without an election coming up for him, he's brutally honest. I mean, he just tells it like it is. And earlier he was on another podcast that I was going to try and show some clips from, but my tech isn't just right for it. And he went over the 4 reasons for Fit 21 that I thought were really important. So I thought we'd hit them. And Chris, you've already alluded to them a little bit. First is to stop scams. He said we need some clarity on how the government can enforce laws in order to stop bad actors from doing things. And that's like the obvious things, like, duh, of course. And 2, and this is one of the best ones. As he referred to innovation, and he said we need to be able to innovate in the U.S. And the current way that the administration is pursuing crypto companies and the whole industry in general is driving innovation. He said, and he talked about Hong Kong, he talked about Singapore, and then he said we're even driving it to mainland Europe. And he said that's not where you go to innovate. That's where innovation goes to die. And that's not my emphasis. That's his emphasis. And it was hilarious. It was very hilarious. And I'd like to hear your comments on that.
Yeah. By the way, they, I believe, name ICOs as a problem specifically.
Right.
It's one of the few really clear examples, other than they also repeatedly say we'll not allow another FTX in language that's communicated officially about it. So innovation. Blockchains that I work with, they're partially established now in Switzerland because of the lack of a clear regulatory framework. Mm-hmm. So that's what's stifling innovation. You're worried that you build a technology, deploy it, and then get put in prison for it after being accused of an ex post facto crime. I'm only mildly exaggerating. I mean, the SEC had all those meetings with the exchanges and said, tell us what you want to see in rulemaking. What are you doing right now? And then said, well, you did that wrong, that wrong. Now we're going to charge you. So you got to put a stop to that. It's crippling innovation. It's absolutely right. And I love that the congressman is
he was just
lame ducking.
I know it didn't. He's exactly, that's what he's doing. He's lame ducking, talking very honestly on why things. And he said there was a fourth reason they made the law, and he said, frankly, the first three ones were needed. He said, actually, one of the things I forgot to say, he said we have this constant bickering between the SEC and the CFTC. He said one of the jobs of Congress is to decide how certain agencies should regulate things and who should be responsible for them. So we don't have arguing among stuff. And currently we have arguing between the CFTC, the SEC, and really and starting to have other groups stick their nose into it too. So what we're trying to do is set some clarity, saying you're responsible for this. This is the security. This is not. This is. You're not. This, that type of stuff. And then he said the last one. He said those are all practical issues. He said the last one is kind of political. He said, of course. He said we're Congress. That's what we do. He said basically we put it on. Do you want to be on the side of innovation? And he said most of us are. We want to be on the side of innovation. But he just called it out and said the progressive left is not on the side of innovation here because they believe this is their moment, just like 2008 mortgage crisis was, where this whole crypto thing's going to come down and cause the U.S. government to have to bail out trillions of dollars, and then the progressive left can go, aha, we told you so. And McHenry just came out and said, this is not that. We don't believe that, and we've done a lot of research on this to ensure that this is not the case. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think if I were from the talking points I've read in dear colleague letters, if the progressive left hired me, and we're talking about messaging, I think where their focus is environmental, and so they love beating on Bitcoin for electricity usage,
right?
And I think that's more of where their focus is and has been. The it's a scam stuff, I think they're starting to struggle with. 1 in 5 Americans aren't being scammed, and even the SEC said, yeah, okay, we can have a Bitcoin ETF. So I think they're less waiting for another FTX as so much as, or a bailout as they are. They're going to hammer on the environmental component.
Interesting enough, on the environmental component, I was just talking to my friends at a group called Green Miner who use solar and other types of renewable energy to mine Bitcoin. And they're doing that just so they can get basically free energy in order to mine Bitcoin. And they're currently doing a study right now. I will say an informal study, and not a scientific study. But these guys have figured out that running their miners in their house and venting the heat into their HVAC system, they use less energy than running their heat pump all winter. And not their natural gas system and all that. We're talking Bitcoin miners versus heat pumps, and it's cheaper to run Bitcoin miners without taking into account the reward. And so you can literally power your house now with a Bitcoin miner, use less energy, and make some money.
Yeah, and I don't agree with the environmental impact component. I think there's a few things. One, it was sort of envisioned by the creators of Bitcoin that technological innovation needed to occur. And so let's talk about what that really is. It's about high performance computing, and it's about the energy usage of high performance computing. And I believe that when you encourage Bitcoin in the United States, what you end up doing is you encourage high performance computing solutions, maybe to be off grid, behind the meter. So you're looking at stranded energy that you're then converting to make it more affordable, or you're looking at using the heat. Obviously, that works better somewhere cold. But there are all these amazing things that are going on with methane mitigation and the rest with it, with Bitcoin mining. And you're going to need it. AI is going to be straining the grid. Electrification initiatives from the administration for against fossil fuels. There's so many things going on. You need innovation, and it helps promote it, and people are answering that. And they're not going to do it if Bitcoin goes away or is encouraged to go to other parts of the world that generally don't mine, harvest, or do anything as responsibly as we do in the United States.
What do you think the idea of taking just the ability, and this is a niche thought, but the idea, like in very cold places, like say Russia or in other places that are mining, that use the technology and are getting ahead, like China, even though, from a government standpoint, they're saying, oh, we're against it, but yet they allow a lot of stuff to actually happen. So it's almost like, don't ask, don't tell type of policy. The advancements that they're making over America, do you think that we could keep up, or do you think do we have the ability to get ahead of this innovation that they're having if it finally gets laxed and things really get going on our end?
Well, I think it's a great point. So to start with, I think hash rate, Bitcoin mining, and any kind of high performance computing are national security issues. The idea that you allow China and Russia to control Bitcoin hash rate could be absolutely devastating to Western economies.
It's preposterous that we would allow that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
1, 2, in terms of like data centers and Chinese manufactured ASICs, you've had these data centers popping up near missile silos and Air Force bases. And from, my former line of work, they're the ultimate kind of industrial cover, because you have a heat signature that can mask what's inside a data center. You have electromagnetic spectrum masked. You have noise masked.
Right.
Who knows what can be in there? And what you could certainly do is put something in an ASIC and then overclock it till it melts down and then damage the grid. And if you had enough of these data centers in enough places, and again, I'm talking about like a 40-foot container, right? That's like 3 megawatts.
Right.
You could take the grid down in a coordinated infrastructure attack. So it's serious. And you're seeing it's called CFIUS. You're seeing some investigations going on now. On the flip side, why would the United States not want to control this technology, or at least ensure that there's a relatively fair system for everyone to be able to have, hash rate in different parts of the world? That's
Absolutely.
not in the interest of the Russians or the Chinese. And lastly, in terms of innovation, I actually was approached by some folks that brought a technology out of DARPA, and they're trying to proof it. But what they've got in the first generation, it uses 30% less electricity. In the third generation, the ASIC that they want to build uses 60% less electricity than like an S21 Hydro, and it's 3 to 4 times more powerful. And it's actually it comes out of a program called the Self-Healing Autonomous Chip Program. The chips were designed to be in space and detect hypersonic missiles. Oh. So there's some fascinating technology that could be spun off into something like Bitcoin ASICs. And hopefully, this afternoon and in upcoming votes, the industry is going to be encouraged to do that.
Well, some of our defense weapon systems have so much so much CPU power now in them that I can see a question like a missile wouldn't have gone in at the right time, and it loitered for a minute, and they're like, wait, why is it loitering? Oh, they're waiting for the last Bitcoin block to update, then it'll go in. It's mining Bitcoin while it's doing that.
At Pioneer Development Group, which is developers of the blockchain that I work with, Liberty, our CEO, actually, our president, actually has a patent for a drone backup like control system that's on the blockchain or encrypted using blockchain technology. It's not going to be verifying transactions for somebody's Nikes before it does things, but yeah, it's the technology is fascinating, and it gets overlooked. I think people focus on exchanges and the market side of it for very obvious reasons, but there's so many amazing technological developments that are possible.
I brought up the Pioneer Development screen here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Pioneer Development and Liberty Blockchain?
Sure. So not financial advice. And this is that's from my compliance department. And by the way, those are not rockets going to the moon. Those are spaceships traveling in space. I had to carefully explain that.
You mean we're not a moon boy type of thing? What you talking about, Willis?
I can neither confirm nor deny that. Right. So at Pioneer Development Group was founded by a number of blockchain experts and some special operations veterans. We'd all worked together in Iraq, Afghanistan, other places, maybe got normal jobs and kind of came back to work on this blockchain. And at the core, we believe in a free and open society. I never thought Fahrenheit 451 would be something that was I was going to see in my lifetime. And I read a very interesting quote from a guy who said books are going to become valuable because they can't be erased and the information in them changed.
Yeah, I saw that quote. That was very interesting.
Yeah, they may become more valuable. So what we're looking at are applications that support a free and open society. So what does that mean? The first app that we're going to be rolling out in the next few months is a historical explorer app. So we kind of gamified learning about history. So it's kind of Pokemon Go meets, a museum tour. And so you're able to earn digital rewards, I will leave it at that, for learning about the history that's all around you, and you explore that virtually through your phone. In terms of other applications, we have a VPN, and we have a secure messenger as well that'll be coming out. And these are not going to stop nation states from poking around with what you have, but they're effective. And so that's kind of our focus. So anyone could ideally develop for Liberty blockchain right now. We're the primary developers that put apps on it.
Sorry, I had my cough button on there. But interesting. I like the concept of gamifying learning about history is really interesting, because there's almost no incentive for people to learn history anymore, because they're taught new history. They're told, well, history doesn't matter because we have a different viewpoint of it now, and so the old lessons don't get learned. As they say,
absolutely.
This is how you learn not to make mistakes in the future, by saying, well, I think it's a good idea to invade Russia in the winter. Well, someone made that mistake a couple of times, and I think they've learned not to do that. So that's really interesting, and looking forward to following up on that.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. I could see, looking out my window, there's a pool here in Baltimore, and I didn't know this, that we were asked to start plotting points to put in the app, and there was a lot of real horrible issues with segregation in Baltimore,
right?
Despite how far north it is, and they desegregated this pool, and the first desegregated pool, maybe in the United States, but definitely in Baltimore, and it was very high profile. Happening turned out to be this pool, and there was a kid who showed up there to swim for the first time when it wasn't whites only, and people threw bottles. There was a mob. Back of his head got cut. He got stitched up. Went in and swam anyways. Wasn't going to be deterred by these bigots, and he ended up being the first Black member of Congress elected from Maryland.
Right.
So I didn't know that. And so you're walking down the street, you get a little notification from the phone, and there's some amazing history that you don't know about that you're able to go find out about. And then, you got to download the app, but then you get, digital rewards waiting. Would you like to also learn about cryptocurrency? We're really hoping to bring people who don't know anything about cryptocurrency and blockchain in as well. So that's a big part of the push that we'll have.
Biden is blowing it so badly that even the person that's his nemesis right now, Robert Kennedy Jr., who, by all agreements, every vote he gets, well, we'll say 90% of the votes he gets, come out of the Biden camp. Robert Kennedy just comes right out and tweets out and says, I'm very aware of the average retail investor been saying about the need for greater transparency in our markets, blah, blah, blah. He talks about all this kind of stuff. My administration, which he's not going to have, but anyway, I just invested $24,000 in GameStop stock, and from the fees he earned suing Monsanto. And so he literally says, I love the idea of aping into GME. We need a free and fair market. Yep. Let's punish predatory short selling to the moon. I'm riding with you. And he puts out this graphic, like I'm aping in. It just shows that.
Is that a hawk? Where?
I don't. It's a bird of prey.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know.
But that comes from Ape from the show. The new.
Oh, is there like a? Yeah, it shows it.
Yeah, there's a new, not new show. Excuse me. The new
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, it's actually pretty dope.
So you've done your job so badly communicating, President Biden and your staff, that your opponents are free to mock you by comparing themselves to the Planet of the Apes movie and saying they're into me. I mean, obviously GameStop is different from crypto, but GameStop is essentially the same thing. It's a meme stock that which much of crypto is meme coins right now.
Yeah.
And it's saying that I support this craziness. And so all those 20% swing voters now are like, it's like none of them are going to want to vote on typical issues. of which we all know the most typical issue is the economy. It's the economy. And crypto is in that category of economy. And here he is saying, I'm with Roaring Kitty. I want to put a short squeeze on.
I want you to almost talk, because I think a bit outside of the box and not so mainstream. And so I think this is really important to understand. But I sit there and I go, okay, if I'm, let's say I'm struggling, and this is pre-COVID, right? We all saw basically what is happening now with the economy and everything falling apart. It was happening. And I thought we were actually going to have the fall or a huge financial downwind. And okay, got it. And so the idea is we're now suffering that now, right? Like it basically was put on hold and you had a huge stimulus situation. We all know what happened. And now we're having this again. We're coming to the same issues again, right? Like the economy is going down. People can't buy certain things. And it's even worse now because of inflation. So if I myself am a person who is not making enough money, and I'm at a point where it's like, okay, do I fill up my gas tank or do I buy crypto? Right?
Right.
Really, right?
Right. There's valid reasons for that, because your crypto could 10x next week by accident.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I sit there and I go, you know what? I'm already about to get fired. I already know this. I could put money here into this and see what happened. And I feel like our economists in this country are smart. Whether they want to listen to certain things and say that they know, but the fact that they put so much money into the hands of the populace, and then from there, we started seeing hyperinflation. I was talking to a friend of mine who traded with, he was a manager.
What's the question, Pedro?
Oh yeah, you're right. Go ahead. The question is this. Do you think that people are going to go through and put money into the economy or put into crypto? If I had to pick between one or the other, and I'm a poor person.
I think it all comes down to, do you have someone to help you understand how to get into crypto? I think that is the roadblock, right? Figuring out a wallet, and I can't imagine how many people, when that Super Bowl commercial came out for Coinbase, signed up for a Coinbase account and didn't realize that they didn't have a wallet.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and it's not a knock on Coinbase at all. It's complex. And I compare it to, imagine 50 years ago, if you told someone you're going to take this plastic square and stick it into the side of a building and money's going to come out.
Right.
It would be, right. Like it would be just as confusing.
It's a miracle.
So on board. Yeah. Just till you get,
although my kids still think that though. So.
Well, don't ruin it for them. So I think that's the biggest issue actually, is, do you have someone that's going to kind of shepherd you through this? I had these guys who were literally building a blockchain that I could call up, and I'm like, it hasn't arrived yet. Should I be worried? Everyone's the first time you send a large sum of money, you're like,
right.
So, I think that's probably the biggest factor. And for people who are considering it now, I heard a great analogy. In the 1970s, everyone said real estate in New York was too expensive. So, do your research.
Right.
But, if you look at the fundamentals and you find a blockchain utility, or you find, or you're into Bitcoin or whatever it is, like you said, you're accumulating, and in 5 years, hopefully you're doing really well.
Well, Chris,
that's the thing.
Thanks. Hold on, Pedro.
Wait, what?
Go ahead, Pedro.
One last one. You nailed the main part here. In traditional finance, I would have to sit there and say, in 30 years, I hope I'm doing well, right? By dollar cost averaging. In crypto, all I need is 8 years. All I need is 8 years, 2 cycles.
Yes, right now I think one of our compliance attorneys is twitching. So I have to be really, really careful with what I say. But the cryptocurrency market is very, very volatile, which means there's greater gains and losses. There's, with greater risk comes greater rewards.
Correct.
And I've heard a few people who've been telling me, I'm just not as interested in the stock market anymore. It's so predictable. Yep. Everything's baked in on the IPO. Exciting things don't happen as much. You don't have as much volatility. And that volatility makes crypto exciting, and this is not investment advice, but could make it lucrative.
And that's why people, as they say, they FOMO into it, and it's capturing not capturing, but captured the eyeballs of the younger generation, who seem to now be those swing voters in a lot of states. But anyway, Chris, we're coming to that time of the show. We're going to switch it off to Pedro to go over some charts and all that. We once again thank you for having on our show. On behalf of Pedro and I, thanks for imparting your wisdom about what goes on in DC to us. And I hope your compliance officers are very happy about it this time.
So compliant, and maybe it won't matter after this vote. I'm kidding.
All right, Chris. We're looking forward to having you on the show again here soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
All right, my friend. That was a good time. I love that guy. That guy's.
Yeah, he does a good job here and all that. But quickly, let's mention some of our sponsors here we'd like to talk about here. I've got on the screen World of